Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Let's Talk About the League podcast, the only podcast on the internet that you can find out things about the LCUS and have all your questions answered by the lovely guests. This week we have Sig Towlord, as always, Commissioner Sig, and joining us as well we have former Northern Storm jungler and Split 1 champion Fat Lee, as well as Team Phoenix's jungler Nebulon. How are you guys doing today?
Perfect. Great.
Doing good.
I am fantastical.
Good. Glad to hear it. So we're here to talk about some league. Last week we didn't have any games because of Father's Day, but the week before that we had week five, and week five started off with Take the Lantern versus Northern Storm. That set ended 1-1 between Take the Lantern and Northern Storm. Both teams winning on the blue side, I believe. Um, did anyone get a chance to watch those games? Sig, did you? I think you casted those games.
I did. And it was super exciting to see. With Take the Lantern, I know you guys have been on the up and up, and Northern Storm struggling to find their footing, but they did have the same players as they did week one where they found victory. And it did pay off a little bit for them. They were able to perform game two.
Yeah, that's for sure. They went about the so they went 2-0 in the first week when they had this lineup, and despite being team sub, they managed to get the same lineup again, even if it was the sub lineup for week five, to take them into. I believe they're in fifth place right now, but not out of contention yet. They're still able to probably end up with 11 points, all things considered. Um, those are some interesting games. You really got to see Spicy Hot Meme and Baconlicious have some synergy there, like they were talking about when we had um, them on previously. It was a good set of games. I personally, mid laner for Take the Lantern, played awful in the second game, and hopefully I won't do that again. But yeah,
Here's to hoping.
here's to hoping. They're actually in sixth place right now with 4 points, but they can still end the split with 10 points. And definitely make the playoffs if they 2-0 the next 2 weeks. Second set of games were between More Cowbell and Team Blitzkrieg. That was the only set of games that ended up as a 2-0. This went 2-0 towards More Cowbell, jumping them up into fourth place from being in tied for sixth last week. And Blitzkrieg ended up 0 wins again.
And it's so disheartening. They're the best losingest team I've ever seen. Their micro play is fantastic, but they just can't perform well on a macro level.
Yeah. Sewer Nebula, Lebulon, Fat Lee or Nebulon. Have you guys seen Team Blitzkrieg play yet?
I have not seen them play yet.
And
I'm sorry, but
that's okay. And I know Phoenix actually plays them next week once as their week 7 opponent. So
Yeah, we play them after the bye.
yeah. Do you have any strategies you want to leak right now of what you guys are gonna do versus them? Pull out that Fiddlesticks Heimerdinger bot lane.
Oh, yeah, I don't really know. Everything's just kind of haywire these days. That's what I was going to say actually about the matchup with against Blitzkrieg is that I think Brandana just was on more cowbell has just been practicing a lot with bot lane and the chaos that's been going on down there this latest patch, and I think he got up at that point it was 8.11, but it still was kind of chaotic. They've been doing a lot down there, and he's been doing a good job at trying to just stay up with it, and he performed both well in both those games. But against Blitzkrieg with 8.12, you never really know what you're gonna be doing. So we're gonna have to do some strategizing,
Yeah.
for sure.
And then set 3, you were involved in being on Team Phoenix, going 1-1 versus Option 12. Mid lane got the triple ban coming out in when you guys were on red side, and that led to Option 12 winning in the first game. And then in the second game, you guys came back and took that win over them. another blue side winning both games. How'd you feel about that set?
To be honest, I feel like we definitely could have won that first game. I feel like we just kind of lost the momentum too fast. I'm starting to learn in my first year with LCUS that Hohenheim is a pretty targeted banned guy. He's a very good mid laner. Yeah, I feel like in our first game we just kind of weren't all there. But once we kind of, I guess, got set in, what our strategy was going to be, we came out and performed the second game and took game 2. So
Definitely, yeah. And you guys are looking good with 9 points and in first place.
yeah, we're doing great.
At this point, I would like to say you guys are secure in the playoffs. I don't think there's a possibility for 4 teams to get over 9 points. So it'll be fun to see you guys in the semifinals at the very least, and maybe the finals.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for it.
So that leads us to the patch impact. 8.12 we haven't played on yet. We saw Blitzkrieg specifically doing crazy stuff on 8.11. What kind of stuff what do you guys think about this patch, really? Like, in general? Besides, it's a shit show. Unmonetized.
I don't know if I would call it that per se, but it's just so radically different, and especially when you put it in terms of like the bot lane matchups, it just kind of destroyed in a very non-conventional way a whole role. I mean, outside of Lucian.
Yeah. The gold funnel strategy is one of the more thought of changes in this patch, which honestly wasn't because of this patch. People just seemed to pick it up around this time. You guys are both, Fetley and Nebulon, you both are junglers. Have you guys been playing Gold Funnel at all?
I have not been playing jungle in the past like 2 weeks, but I've been trying to learn new ways to build my strong suit character, but it hasn't been working out lately, but we'll see later on, see if I can manage.
Sue, what do you think, how do you think Udyr would go with the Gold Funnel strategy? Running around the map, Taric, Udyr. I think that'd be a good strategy.
I mean, it could work, because usually when you go almost like full AD, like 8 bruiser, Udyr, you usually do a lot of damage, and they don't really expect the damage. Plus, the Taric stun will often like catch them off guard too, with his ultimate too. So I mean, it's a pretty good matchup if it's like a good lane to go against. Like, it depends on what kind of what they pick, what champions they pick bot lane.
For sure. Nebula, what about you? Have you seen anything crazy going on in the jungle?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely have seen my fair share. I mean, I started being appalled when I started seeing Talia jungle, but that was just my first. I don't know, but everything's definitely been changing. But yeah, I've been seeing a little bit of the gold funneling strat. Not as much. I'm more of a solo queue player. And to do it in solo queue, you really have to make sure that you have good communication. So the only times you can really execute that well is when you have a duo partner. But when it's done well, it definitely can be pretty catastrophic for the other team if they know what they're doing, for sure. So
yeah, I played a little bit of the gold funnel with the Taric Master Yi combo. It's kind of crazy. You're just playing Master Yi, and then
yeah,
you're like, okay, well, here we are. And then suddenly you have a Rage Blade at like 10 minutes. And as soon as you've team fight after that, you win the game. So
yeah, there's nothing really much the enemy team can do once Taric ults. So
yeah. And then Master Yi, the one key that I would say Master Yi has over most of the other funnelers is that he can just Alpha Strike and dodge most random CC that's coming at him, which definitely is a buzzkill. One cool one that I haven't gotten to see or do yet is Karthus Nunu. I I was actually gonna pick that up this week until they disabled. I don't know if it's disabled on live or not, but until they were talking about disabling Karthus Nunu, or with Karthus having smite or whatever, because that seems pretty fun. But yeah, another thing that we saw was kind of weird bot lanes develop a little bit more. Sig, we saw some Gragas bot lane in the professional play. What do you think about Gragas? This is one of your favorite champs.
I don't want to claim any prophecy because it really was just I don't feel like thinking, so I'm just going to play Gragas in every lane minus ADC when I do get auto-filled. But he's such a CC machine, and what he lacks in that damage output early game. I mean, the Q slow, the W, which once you itemize correctly, also provides some CC. The E stun plus the turnaround, and the R is one of the best movement utilities available in any champion's skill set. He's just a phenom. And I love to see him peel, and that's what's so good in some of these matchups where you're running into like Vlad ADC is that additional utility that's just missing so much.
Yeah, for sure. Does anyone else have anything to talk about the patch? No. Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what actually happens in it. But for now, we'll take a quick word from our sponsor. This week, episode 6 of Split 3 in the Let's Talk About League podcast is the sponsor is the Simple Soyman. They are a local Milwaukee soy foods company that produces items such as tofu, tempeh, pie crusts, granola, and all sorts of other delicious items. They can be found in the Milwaukee, Madison, and Chicago areas, as well as a few other parts of the north, southeastern Wisconsin. Once again, that is Simple Soyman, and they provide healthy soy food options. All right, so with that, we move on to the Week 6 preview. Of course, Team Phoenix is on bye this week, but that doesn't mean that they aren't invested in what's going to happen. Of course, we see with the first set this week, it's going to be Option 12, the second place team currently, versus Team Blitzkrieg, who, once again, as we discussed before, is currently winless. The only team in the LCUS ever to be winless this far in the season. And they could end up winless overall. If Option 12 takes a 2-0 as well, they will jump Phoenix in the standings. So that'll be interesting. Sig, what are you looking for in this set? So I believe you'll be casting this set.
I'm always excited to see these players. I'm always riding the hype train for Goonstomp. Him and Chaos are such a strong performing bot lane. I mean, they made it to runners up last split. He became a quote unquote household name when he subbed in the first split. I don't know exactly why it's not popping. And I honestly, with this crazy meta that's going on right now, I think he has the opportunity to shine. ADC isn't his primary role. When I started playing with Goonstomp years ago, the man was a jungle. And some of these picks, I think they are going to orientate toward his play style of heavy aggression. So this could be their week. This could be his meta.
Yeah. I know last week during gym class feeders, he played some Jarvan, and that went very well for him. Fat Lee or Nebulon, do you guys have any thoughts on Blitzkrieg versus Option 12?
Yeah, for Team Blitzkrieg, I believe they can have a really solid team fight potential if they just peel for Goonstomp and let Goon dish out the damage if you were to play an AD carry role. But I think that's the only thing they need to work on, and probably just more of communication when to, like, for top lane, especially on Great Bear Road, and he tends to hold on to his teleport.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, show some pressure, maybe bot side when you teleport in, just like surprise them out of nowhere. Or keeping wards up on bottom side, I mean.
Yeah, that's some good advice. You played versus Option 12 multiple times last split. Do you have any advice going against those players?
Oh man, they're gonna do some work, but once you learn out their strategy, what they want to do with their champion select, it's like easier to like kind of counter, but then like it's like on a whim, like you gotta believe in your team and just communicate it well, and eventually you're gonna end up on top or end up close, like last split,
Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't know. I'm looking to see. My highlight for this match is Greatbeard Voda versus Prowler. I think that'll be a fun top lane matchup. They've both been playing some weird champions the past week, I think, in preparation for this. So, it'll be fun to see. Anything from you, Nebula?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, this is like my first split, so I don't really have as much prerequisite information as some of the other people talking right now. But for sure, last set that we had against Option 12, they did perform very well. They were kind of a strong momentum based team. They really know how to communicate well, especially when they're ahead to get a good lead and lead on from it. And I'm interested to see how they will do against or use that against Blitzkrieg this week. Or I think that their big weakness is that when they don't have the momentum, they kind of fall apart. So if Blitzkrieg is able to band together and get some easy picks in the early game, I can totally see Blitzkrieg coming back and getting some points on the board.
Yeah, that's for sure. Our second set of the week is between Northern Storm and More Cowbell. These are two teams that are definitely fighting for playoff spots. If one of these two teams can get a 2-0, it will definitely be better for them, especially More Cowbell, who is sitting with 6 points, and this is their last week of the season, as week 7 is their bye week. So they're really looking for that 2-0 so they can jump to 9 points. So this, in my opinion, this is like another battle of the top lanes. Washed up top laner, I know it was a friend of Fatley, and Shaden, who played with me last split. Both seem to like to flex their muscles in the top lane with the carries. That'll be a pretty exciting matchup.
I know I'm excited for it. Shaden has always been a dominating force, a strong presence in all the games that he participates in, and I think it's going to be the premier match, especially with the jungle that they're going to have paired with them. I know with washed up top laner, I'm always excited week in week out to see what a spicy hot meme is going to bring to the table, and with this new meta, I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be fireworks the whole time.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what Brandana pulls out. I think that if any of the teams are going to pull out weird meta bot lanes, besides Blitzkrieg, of course, since they already have, that's going to be either Northern Storm or More Cowbell. Both of these teams get 80 carry bans thrown at them with Jhin, Kai'Sa, Ezreal, Lucian, all of those. And if those 80 carries are knocked off the board early, I could see them going for some weird stuff. I'm also looking to see if Cowbell is going to give Veigar back to CB Hickey. It's been mostly picked or banned away from him this split after his really good week 1 performance on it. It'll be interesting to see if he pulls that out versus Bacon. As well as Northern Storm. So far, no one's informed me that they need a sub. So this might be another week that they actually have a full roster. So that'd be great for them. Do you guys have any more thoughts about this matchup? All right, cool. Set 3 is between White Wolf Gaming and Take the Lantern. Currently, Take the Lantern is in 3rd place with 7 points, but White Wolf Gaming is in 5th place with 5 points. So the gap is very close between these two teams. Either team getting a 3-0, a 2-0, excuse me, and 3 points would probably put them in guaranteed for the playoffs. But that's hard to say for sure. It's also interesting to see what White Wolf will do after a bye week. Hopefully they've been practicing for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that, to get this new meta under the belt. But I don't know. Anyone have any thoughts on this matchup?
I think there's a lot at stake for White Wolf. White Wolf's yet to not make it to the playoffs, so I'm excited to see them try and strive for that. With the position they're in, where they could end up tied with Take the Lantern, they have a lot more risk. They win, they tie. If they lose, well, that could be all she wrote. I'm excited for the Primedon matchup that you're facing, Ace.
Yeah, that'll be a good matchup. Last split, I believe he was on More Cowbell, who we played in week 4, and then also in the semifinals, and those were definitely good matchups. I can't give away too many secrets, but I'm interested to see what they do in pick and ban.
They're gonna ban Anivia. Sorry for the spoilers, folks.
I don't know. I'm expecting 1 week. I'm expecting someone to leave it up and just have the counter just waiting, whatever that counter is. No idea, but we'll figure it out when that happens. No, it's gonna be a good matchup. One thing to point out. Next week, White Wolf Gaming also plays versus Northern Storm. So they might be able. We might have a very intense final match of the split between those two teams, trying to fight over the last playoff spot. But we'll see. And so if no one has anything else for week 6, we can move straight into question and answer. So one question that we've gotten a lot this week, and this is a question for myself and Sig, more so. They want to hear a little bit more about the gold funneling strategy and any gray area around whether or not it's actually permitted in the LCUS or not. So the best way that we can describe it is players are expected to play the positions that they were assigned. Any gray area in that, if the other team files a complaint to the LCUS officials, and it is agreed that that was a position swap and not a lane swap or whatnot, that then a penalty will be assigned based on the severity of that thing. That's about the best that we can do given the weird stuff. We, of course, encourage all strategies and all champion picks in all roles, but we do expect players to play the positions that they signed up for. Any questions, feel free to reach out to any LCUS official about that. But with that out of the way, we can move on to the more fun questions. So the first question, there were a few specifically for Fat Lee, since he's been absent for a little bit from the league. The first question is from Prowler and asks, who do you think has taken over the mantle of the best jungle in the LCUS?
Oh,
No pressure to
best
say
jungle?
Nebulani when he's here.
No pressure. But so far I think Professor has been doing a great job so far, jungling. I mean, turning a losing game into a winning one. I mean, gotta give him some props.
For sure. Second question, once again, targeted at Sue. What was your best LCUS memory?
The best memory, honestly, was probably just watching either Menards or somebody else playing Kane and just deleting people. Like, who doesn't want to see that? Like, no counterplay, and I just want to see that in the future. See if like anybody would live up to the Kane hype.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's a good question. And then the last question for Sue, I promise we'll get on to questions for other people too, is what about next split? Will you be rejoining Shaken Not Stirred and take back Northern Storm's spot in his first place in split 4? Or what are you thinking?
I honestly don't really know if I'm gonna play next split, but maybe Brad and I got some strategy going on. and maybe we we might be playing next split. So we shall see.
Some unfinished business. Another Northern Storm banner. Who knows?
Yeah, still gotta get that, salty about the. Still salty? No, I'm just kidding. Not salty at all. But no, it's good to get. It's good to win.
Yeah.
Even if it's like only a small tournament here.
I'm gonna put that on my gravestone. It's good to win. That's prophetic. Get that tattooed on. I'm sure we could sell some like anchors with that stenciled on the bottom, and every college girl this side of the East Coast is gonna buy it. That's just too much for me.
You know that we've been looking for shirts or ideas for fundraisers to increase the prize pool for the LCUS, the currently non-existent prize pool. So now we'll just sell shirts and wristbands that say "It's good to win."
It's good to win. This would make a much better outcome than the constant love and admiration that you get as a prize pool right now.
Yes.
So if we do release shirts, everybody buy them. Buy 2 of them. Buy 1 for your dogs.
All right. Real question time. So this goes out to all of you guys. Answer as you will. Who is more likely to finish ahead this split? White Wolf Gaming or more Cowbell? Yeah. Nebulon, you've played versus both of those teams. They're currently in the 4th and 5th spot, 1 point apart from each other. What do you think? Which one do you think has a better chance of the playoffs?
Ooh, that's a really good question. They're both really good teams, and they're both tough matchups. I believe actually they were for both those games. We both took 1-1. They were both pretty. 2 of our, I can't remember if it was 3 or 4 types that we have right now. So they were 2 of our tougher matchups, along with option 12. Yeah, I mean, if I had to give the if I had to give the winner to that, I would have to give it to more Cowbell. I feel like when we played against them, I feel like our first game was actually pretty lucky. I mean, it was really close. Both games were incredibly close as far as I can remember. They're really well put together. They sometimes make small slip-ups and tilt sometimes, but I feel like I don't know. I feel like they can gather up together when push comes to shove towards the end of the season to make sure that they clinch a good playoff spot, good seed, and yeah, I mean, I guess I'd give it to them.
Sager Fatley, what are your thoughts?
I'm contractually obligated to say that I really like White Wolf Gaming, and I think they're a stellar team, and I adore seeing the wonderful compositions that they come up with. But when you go with quote unquote, call me on this, the most synergist team in the LCUS history, Brandana and Mr. Pig and Shaden, that's just too much. They're not even the icing on the cake. They're like the spoon you use to eat the cake. They're just too much.
It's a big ladle. So personally, my money, I would say, if both teams are playing 2 more weeks, I'd give it to more Cowbell as well. But I think that just since White Wolf technically has the opportunity to get 6 more points, when Cowbell only has the opportunity to get 3 more points, I'll just have to cop out and go with I think White Wolf has the better chance.
I believe, yeah. I think White Wolf has a really great chance of being on top.
Yeah. Though I'm playing versus White Wolf this week, so hopefully not. Hopefully it doesn't go well. All right. Next question. Goonstomp was the first AD carry to go non-marksman. Who will be the second? What do you guys think? Who's going to pull out the Yasuo or Vladimir or Heimerdinger?
Whoever doesn't have either Lucian picked or banned against them. I hate this meta right now for that. I really don't like it when the as a support, I don't like it when I have to either support Lucian or then here's a mage. You wanna support this brand? That'd be great. It's just not very fun.
For sure.
I'm sorry.
Maybe with these new crit hot fixes, all these crit ADCs are in a really tough spot right now. So yeah, kind of going along the lines, like if it's not Lucian, I'd even argue that Kai'Sa is still pretty viable. even with their recent hot fixes and stuff. But until these, with these new hot fixes coming in with Infinity Edge being costing lower and Storm Razor getting a little bit of a buff, and heck, even Essence Reaver, there's always many ways that you can put a formula to that and find a good champion to suit that with. I feel like I don't know. I feel like crit ADCs can make a comeback in this next upcoming patch or two, and see if how many changes can go by until crit ADCs are finally playable again.
Yeah.
Not to interrupt, but to officially answer the question, I'm going to say Menards, because match 1 is Goonstomp versus Menards.
Yep.
So
That's
Menards would have he would have the most likelihood. So Menards, I'm putting it out on the table there. Show me something crazy.
I'm sorry, Sigtao. We don't have Menards in our league anymore. His name is Clagstrong. But better luck next time with your attempted cop-out. It is fun.
Yeah, Clagstrong,
Yeah.
VIP player. I've loved seeing him over these past multiple splits.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, 2 more questions, and then we'll just end this real quick. Next question. What was the biggest surprise pick of Split 3 so far? I'll start. I think that it was when White Wolf Gaming pulled out the Teemo versus Phoenix's top lane Mundo. I think that was a pretty surprising pick. But I guess there also was White Wolf Gaming pulling out Rammus versus a Cho'Gath in the top lane, but we won't talk about that one very much. Any other thoughts on surprising picks from the split so far? Nobody?
Crickets.
All right. Last question. Project Vayne and Project Jin were both fan-made skins that apparently Riot stole. Those are bad words for it, but they stole the champions and they made the skins into the game. So I'm actually just going to change the question a little bit. Do you think that League should make more fan-made skins? There's tons of really good content over on the League of Legends subreddit of stuff like, I think BMO might have actually been a subreddit creation, and then they created a few other, like Aurelion Sol as a beehive, and Pizza Delivery Sivir was originally a fan-made skin. What do you guys think about the skins, and if they should go a little bit more into fan ideas?
I like it, but I'll be honest, with the game being as old as it is now and with the limited pool of champions, I mean, it's what, 140 some?
Something like that.
There's a finite amount of ideas. There's only so many times you can put bees on people. If someone willing to try this, I'll bring the bees. But we have such a large community. Everyone's going to say you stole my idea. Did it happen? Probably. But there's only a finite amount of good ideas. I would love to see some skins from the community that aren't for Teemo, Annie, any other of the like. Give me something for Kane. Give me something for anybody. Just not Teemo and Annie.
Tuxedo Zach. I mean, the champion literally asks for tuxedo, or suit. So I don't see why not.
Yeah, Gentleman Zach. I would definitely buy that skin in a heartbeat.
Yep. You heard it here first, right? There's your
Imagine.
Steal it from Dragon Ball Z,
Lawsuit
Imagine Zach. I was kidding.
And you know
I know.
what? I think they're gonna listen, and I can't wait for that 4 RP to hit my account.
That is for sure. One last question, and I think this is directed at Sig. Are there any skins that instantly win the skin battle? That is live from the audience.
That depends on the casters. I'm always super partial to one, if you have someone naked on your team that really doesn't that doesn't cut it, you need to bring better to the table. If you really cared about your team, you'd spend that $13.50 on that Blitzcrank skin. But apparently you don't care about your team, so you can win naked. So it just depends. I want to say that there's a particular skin, but it just depends on who's casting. And if there's any naked, you're just out. Just in my opinion, if you have a naked player, it's out. It's never shirts versus skins. It's always tux versus ball gowns, in my opinion. Just never go in naked.
Okay.
Is Tarek too good for you?
Well, then with that, we'll end it here. You heard it here first. Don't be naked. Thank you for tuning into the Let's Talk About the League podcast. Thank you to our guests, NS, Fat Lee, and Phoenix Nebulon, and as always, Commissioner Sig. I'd just like to give the general, please go over to our YouTube channel and subscribe there. Please subscribe on Twitch, as it provides us the revenue that allows us to give a prize pool eventually. And please follow us on Facebook for any updates. Once again, this was the Let's Talk About the League podcast, episode 6. Thank you guys very much for tuning in.